Alrighty, our crowds are getting
This
smaller and
meeting is
smaller here.
being recorded.
Now there's more people there. One, two, all right. Alrighty, guys, we'll get started here. I see, okay, there's two more in the waiting room. I should always check myself every week before I say we'll get started and give it the extra minute or two. All right, we will dive into it, and I'll just leave the waiting room open, guys. Hey, welcome back to another weekly DaaS sales workshop. Now, as you guys may or may not know, depending on how long you've been in the program or how many calls you've attended, I know I see a few repetitive faces. There might be one or two names here for the first time, or I just can't remember everybody. My brain's good, but not perfect. But my area of expertise within the company, guys, is within the sales aspect, the messaging, angles, hooks, pricing, packaging, positioning, overcoming objections, et cetera, et cetera. And I, provide lessons weekly on that type of stuff. We go through Q&A on these sessions, dive into, new lessons in different segments or aspects of, the different topics I just mentioned. But, my main aspect is to give you guys stuff wherever you're stuck right now that you can go implement and get to the next level, whatever that is. I'm still not booking calls. All right, let's go back and look at the messaging. I'm booking calls, but I'm not closing deals. All right, let's look at some of the sales calls, right? So what is that gap, right? So I have some stuff I want to cover and get into, but I'm going to go around in a moment after I just drop and share the resource I share to start off all these sessions with you guys, because I know there's always newcomers each week. But then I'm just going to call on you guys really quickly. If you feel so compelled, I'd love you to just chime in and tell me a little about where you might be stuck or what would help the most right now. And regardless, I already have a lesson and some stuff planned. But I'd love to get some feedback from you guys. And it's a little easier when there's not 20 or 30 people. There's only a handful on today, so it actually makes it a little easier to go through and get some feedback. But really quickly, let me just share my screen and just drop the resource that I share every week, with the attendees and participants here. Now, again, I know in our school community here, we have some incubator clients and some DaaS clients, and the majority of the incubator people that come in outside of a few are eventually upgrade into DaaS. So whether you're in DaaS or incubator, if you're looking to resell the data or you're looking to build into a DaaS agency, if you're not there yet, this is kind of the best resources just all on one document for everything you guys will need to put together the proper sales process. So step one here, number one on the thing, a doc just showing you how to build out the sales process, the game plan, timeline, expectations. Number two is a little video going over that first document and explaining and elaborating and showing you the inner workings of what that looks like rather than just listing on a document. I wanted to show you and elaborate. Number three goes back in, and I always show you guys some of the current ads, email, LinkedIn, and the campaigns and the messaging that we're using internally to grow our client base and land new clients. Number 4 and 5 on my screen here, those are the two scripts that I would recommend for the sales process that I set up. Number 4 would be for your triage call, right? Your 15 or 20-minute call. Number 5 would be for your actual demo or sales call. Number 6 is the pitch deck that we put together that you guys can, again, just swap up a slide with your own company image, branding, whatever. None of it is branded to Audience Lab. So you can go show case studies. You can go show exactly how this works and have a slide deck already put together for you guys. Number 7 is a quick little tutorial going a little more in depth into pricing, specifically on the Pixel and some Pixel pricing tools. But I also talk about the audiences and the lists as well. And any of you guys in the DaaS program would have received, a tutorial going over how to break down all that pricing. And if not, just let me know. And number 8, which I just added on here in the last few weeks, a month and a half. Once enough of you guys kept asking, you guys were like, hey, I want to hear some of your sales calls, Ray, some of your language, lingo, how you talk about it, and just kind of, so I dropped, I don't know, 2 dozen of my sales calls there that you guys can feel free to, break down, take the transcripts, take some word tracks, whatever would help. So right there in the Zoom chat, guys, I just dropped it. That link is to this document on my screen that I just went over. And if anybody doesn't have it yet, should be a pretty helpful resource. You're still trying to build out the sales process. You're still unsure. This should kind of have everything you need right there within one document. So I just like to share that each week. Cool. I'm going to go around and just call. You guys are all on my screen probably in different order, but the order you're on my screen, I'm just going to call on your name real quick and ask a quick question. If you give me some feedback, great. If you're unable to talk or you have nothing to say, just skip or stay muted for a second and I'll pass on by. But Jacob, you're the first one on my screen. Really quick, can you give me a little feedback on how long you've been in the program and what your current focus is?
Yeah, so I think I've been here for probably like a week. But I run a marketing agency, so obviously getting audience, better targeting, better results for my clients is my main focus.
Yep.
And I just partnered up with a startup company for, I'd say, like home equity, but like advancement on that, so almost like a loan type structure. So very new to the market on that side of things. No one's doing this type of structure. So I've and they're also 50/50 partner with um, a big brand name owner that he's backing this business. So I'm kind of coming in as uh, agency perspective, but also I have a list that we can kickstart on cold calling and cold email traffic that we can start reaching out to.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that's pretty much all of it in uh in a nutshell. But I'm looking to like increase my prices because I have this that I can offer right now too.
Okay. Cool. So you've been in the program for about a week. I'm just trying to find you in the system because I haven't had a call with you that I'm aware of yet. What plan did you sign up for, if you remember?
The 3 month, the DaaS.
And you signed up with the name you're on the screen, Jacob Medford.
Yeah.
Try one more time. Sometimes it just screws me when I search for it. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why I can't find you here in the system, at least not right now. So you've obviously already had your onboarding call into the platform, yes?
Yep. Yep.
And from there, do you remember who you got onboarded with?
Uh, um, no, not off the
No,
top of my
I
head.
think we have four different guys that do it: Andrew, Lewis, Jaden, and Ronaldo. Right? None of those ring a bell. Either
No,
way, so the next step, and I'll
no.
check with those guys. I'll look up your account. I'm not going to do it like while I'm on here. I just couldn't find it right off the top of my head. I'll look it up right after this call. I just made a note. But what should happen after your onboarding call, you should receive an email following that where you book a one-on-one call with me, especially if you enrolled into one of the DaaS programs, which I think you said you did. And then where we go
Yeah.
through, we do a one-on-one call just about kind of your model, your fastest path to cash. And just I lay out like some more resources you're going to need and just the best steps and how I would accomplish that and how I've seen other DaaS agencies do that. So let me double check right after the call, just make sure you got all that information because I don't know if you either didn't receive it,
Okay.
didn't see it, or didn't book it yet. Either way, I'll just make sure I get that over to you again after the call.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. So being that new, obviously there's not a lot I can really dive into quite yet because you're still, just getting into the system, consuming the resources, building your first couple audiences. That one-on-one call is going to be the best way for me to really help you, more one-on-one specifically.
Sweet.
Cool. But you're not going to have a ton of feedback here in a week. I get it.
Yeah.
Liam, how about yourself? Would you mind unmuting for a second if you're able to? And if not, that's cool too. I'll pass on to the next one. Can't speak currently, no problem. How about yourself, Heidi? Are you able to unmute for a moment?
I can.
Excellent.
So yeah, my husband Jim and I signed up in February, towards the end of February. Didn't really get into it for about a month, so unfortunately we wasted a month.
Okay.
But we are currently using it for our own email marketing for the most part. And we actually have gotten a couple of appointments set through the emails I got from here on into our email marketing and have some opportunities there. One is with a gun store, and the other one I think might be a paving company. So
Cool. Okay, so you're using it primarily for yourselves and not to get better results for your clients. So are you guys in the incubator program?
no, I don't even know what the incubator program is. We kind of jumped in head first, not knowing what we were doing, and we we should have probably waited a little bit before we took on this investment. But So I don't know what the incubator program is. But maybe
Usually,
that,
well, that's our lower tier, and generally speaking, that's for customers of ours that are using the data more for themselves and don't necessarily need as much data to go serve a bunch of
yeah,
clients. They might not need all the seller resources and the stuff
right.
that I'm covering on this call. That's
Yeah,
what it
no.
sounds like really quick. Now, maybe it did
Oh,
sound like
no. I'm saying that's all we've done so far is use it for ourselves.
Gotcha.
But the plan is to sell it. And I said the opportunities I just said were for selling the DaaS for these clients that
Gotcha.
have, I think the gun store might put the pixel on his website, and um, the pavement, my husband just got off that call, but because it took a while from feeding the listing to actually get, appointments set and everything. So,
Yeah, especially
uh,
through email. It's not going to happen overnight.
yeah, but it's starting to happen. So that's good.
Yeah, that definitely is. But yeah, if you're looking to resell it, hopefully, did you get that resource that I just dropped in the chat there?
I did. I clicked on that and opened it up,
Good, good. If you haven't
and
already been on these sessions or haven't been active much recently or haven't done a one-on-one call with myself yet, that will certainly be handy. And you can either did now when you guys signed up again, I'm not sure if you signed up in your name, your husband's name, but I don't remember you guys booking a one-on-one
it's
call with myself either. Did you guys?
I don't know if we did or not either. I kind of feel like we did, but my husband would probably remember better. And so his name is Jim Anderson. So
That name rings a bell. I'll look at. Okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
make a note and I'll look it up. If not, I'll resend you the resources. But good to know. And cool. So right now, is there anything specifically, any questions you have, Heidi, or anything you're stuck on when you're gonna go talk to these two companies,
I'm
or do
kind
you
of
have a pretty good?
multitasking. I didn't know you were going to call me and I'm eating lunch.
picking a burger.
No
Well,
problem.
I know Jim has some questions. Jim? Okay, I know Jim did. So why don't you go on to somebody else and then he comes over here,
Yeah,
because he was just finished up a call, and then we'll come back on.
sure. That's fine. That's fine. Great.
Okay, thanks.
Alex, hey buddy, are you on there? You able to speak for a moment?
Hey man, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
It's going. From a sales perspective, I'm in talks with a bunch of different types of businesses.
Okay.
I got an agency this morning that wants to white label. I'm in talks with, we should be closing with a 20 location dealership. There's a 60 location yacht boat club that I'm having more conversations with later this week. Um, there's a 100 location roofing company that I'm meeting with on Friday. I'm meeting with the CEO there. So, and there's also a hospital chain that is looking at bringing me on. So, like from a leads perspective, I've got some kind of what I would consider whales on the hook right now. It's just a matter of like bringing them in. My biggest thing is like operationally. I've got a sales guy that I just brought on, um, and I also have somebody I just hired for automation to do all the boost space and essentially account manage.
Okay.
So I'm trying to streamline like the back end of everything from that perspective. I've been playing with V3. The CDP, I think we're just going to stick with boost space until the CDP gets figured out.
Yeah, there's definitely been some. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been wonky to say the
it's
least.
been very wonky. And I just if I'm going to launch into anything that's multi-location or enterprise, I need to have my shit solid.
Yeah, you need
So I guess
consistency
that's
there.
been the scariest thing on my end is just making sure I've got right now. I've only got 2 people in actually implemented. I've got a small SEO agency, and then I also have a what are they? I don't know. They're like an insulation contractor, right?
So all these conversations and all these things you have lined up, were these like existing contacts? Is this new messaging? How'd these all come about?
This is all just network.
So yeah, existing network. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I've only been in with you guys for like a week or two.
Yeah, no, I remember. We spoke out. Yeah, I definitely
Yeah,
remember you were pretty recent.
I've been doing identity resolution for like the last 18 months on a
Mhm.
more enterprise level. I have an SEO agency as well. I'm actually going to be on GMB Roast tomorrow. If anybody wants to watch. Um,
Cool, man.
yeah. So I mean, I'm
More
familiar.
about the operational stuff in the back end and the consistency.
Yeah, I mean that's my biggest thing because like I'll sell whatever, but it's just about actually being able to deliver.
Well, yeah, that's kind of part of it.
So yeah. So I don't know. Is there anything that you would give advice on either things to stay away or ways that you would sell to ensure that you're like framing expectations properly for delivery?
I mean, the best advice I can give when it comes to that is obviously, only sell what you know is kind of working. I don't know. I mean, on those big kind of enterprise and multi-location accounts, if you like, like you said, you've only been in the program for a week or two or whatever, and most people obviously want to see it work for themselves or a client or two before they take it to those big deals. And that's
Right.
going to be a big reason for the apprehension or the uncertainty, right? But like now that you're bringing in somebody to help operationally, like boost-based integrations, maybe building the ideal list, it's really just about getting the correct information, understanding how to use the platform, which I think you already have a very good understanding of for how short you've been in the system, and building effective lists. If you can do that, I think you can have a big confidence in the results you deliver. Now, again, there are variables, like you said, the integrations and the setup and that type of stuff. That's not my area of expertise, unfortunately. So I don't want to give insight
Oh,
or
that's
advice
fair.
on something I don't do
How are
personally.
you pricing? So I'll keep it on the sales side. How are
Sure.
you pricing and upselling features um in comparison to like a single installation contractor versus, multi-location franchise? Are you changing that or is that the same across the board or
So yeah, I have sold some, individual accounts and then multi accounts in the same type of industry. Normally, if I know I'm getting multiple locations or multiple accounts out of it, I'll do almost a bit of a wholesale discount, whatever, 10 or 15% off after 5 locations, something like that.
okay. So
But
nothing crazy or complicated or
no,
okay.
not at all. Not at all. I don't change it. I mean, you don't even really have to change the pricing because the
But
value's there. But if somebody's going to bring me in more business or spread me out to more locations, I want to offer some type of discount and incentive for them to move on that and actually make it happen rather than just sit back and leave my pricing kind of standard. You know what I mean?
so tell me, is my pricing insane? So I'm charging 2K for a single audience in a single location and 5K for a pixel.
Is that crazy? No, not at all. Not at all. I think a lot of people that haven't sold yet or are brand new on the platform might think that's crazy, but no, because we have so many clients that pay all the time. I always just say bare minimum. I'm never going to sell an audience or list for less than 500. I'm never going to sell a pixel for less than $1,500 a month. Just bare minimum. There's always industries and times and places where we can charge much more. I think your prices are probably right in line, especially if you're dealing with larger accounts, people with more money, more revenue, more visitors. They're going to see better results from it. It's not like you're gambling and throwing pixels for $5,000 onto a site that's getting 1,000 hits per month, right?
Right,
You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
If there's a clear ROI, no. I mean, and the clients are willing to pay it, and you know the market, no. I think that's very fair pricing.
Okay.
And again,
So
it
I'm
will
not
vary
completely off
market to
base on
market.
my
You know,
pricing.
other industries you might be charging a little less or a little more. I know my clients that serve like private injury attorneys charge way more for a list than my guy that sells them to roofers, right? Like, there's just certain industries where you're going to charge more also based on the overall, claim or order value. We all know a private injury attorney is, average order client, it's usually somewhere from 40 to $80,000. Whereas, an average roof is probably 11 grand, right? So that also ties into everything.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. Do
And
you
you were when you were on, you were the one that shared with me your new landing page and how you kind of revamped it, right? Your website there.
yeah,
Yeah, that looked really, really good. I actually showed that to someone else. I thought that was really, really solid. I thought you did a nice job with that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're just trying to create a brand that's memorable around this.
Yeah.
I've got a lady coming on. We're currently in the process of doing content She's gonna start doing video and stuff for the brand, and so we're gonna try to do a year's worth of content over the next 90 days. So
That's a
start
good goal.
pushing out all that, and then we're gonna start running some advertising to our own lists as well. And one of the things the automation guy's doing outside of boost space is we're also setting up kind of like an omnipresence approach where we're going to be doing email, form submission, voicemail drops, text messages, postcards, etc. So I think there's like 11 or 12 different channels that we're going to be outreaching to every single person on our list. And that includes, ads. We're doing custom audiences and then also display from that perspective. So if there's anything else that you would suggest on trying to hit it from all angles and try to blow this thing up as much as possible, let me know.
Yeah, no, certainly, certainly. I mean, we'll be in touch in future weeks. I certainly will. I think you're hitting it really, really well. And I mean, for being in for a week or two, the amount of conversations, the amount of, results, the amount of assets and resources, and even just your train of thought, it already sounds like you're looking at damn near every angle. There's always going to be something that, I see that you don't, or vice versa. But right now, I think you have your focus in really the right avenues. I wouldn't really deviate from that. Just execute on it. Continue to get that operation, that back end stuff dialed in, and then grow it up from there. And we'll continue to chat on that stuff. But yeah, I think you're doing great, man.
I got one
and that
last
just goes.
question for you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
I've been approached already on a rev share model, and I'm hesitant to do rev share because I'm not a big fan of rev share without equity or at least advisory shares, based on previous experience in the scenario. With this specifically,
plumbers that may want to do some radio advertising.
say again.
Go ahead. Now somebody else unmuted for a moment. I think.
I'm just coming from the SEO side of things. You're gonna get your fingers real dirty, right, and be really involved. With this, I'm assuming that you could actually potentially do a rev share without being too crazy involved. What's your experience with rev share? Would you still go for equity, or would you be okay doing just a rev share deal?
That's a great question, and I love your outlook on it. I always go for equity or at least advisory shares. I love that. I've done some rev share deals, some bigger ones, some smaller ones. Like you, I've had some experiences that were great. I've had some that weren't so good. So I wouldn't be happy
like to have weight that I can throw around if needed. Otherwise,
yeah. I love rev share deals when I almost am guaranteed it's going to be a win. So generally speaking, rev share deals, there's a lot better chance the client's going to agree to that than some 5 or 10K, retainer up front or whatever that is. But we both know there's many instances, if we've looked at their foundations, the number of visitors, their conversion percentage, average order value, all the main metrics that are going to let us know that there's a good chance of success. And I see, almost a no-brainer that if I throw on my pixel on a rev share deal, I'll probably make like 15K. I would much, you know what I mean? So I just kind of engaging and am gauging the sophistication and how established the company is in terms of if I throw in my data, my tech, my pixel, whatever it is, into this, do I see almost a no-brainer chance of a clear ROI? If so, yeah. I mean, I still go for rev share deals. Normally when I do them, and you're probably similar, Alex, I never really like to do them 100% at cost. Like even if I'm doing a rev share deal, I'll usually still take a startup or a setup fee or something like that, because that first month you're putting in time, resources, pulling lists, and you might not see revenue for the first 30, 45 days, whatever that is.
So I never do rev share without a base salary, even if it's low, and then that just covers hard costs, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
I'm in the middle of doing a SWOT on them, so that'll give me kind of like a solid, confident yes or no. But I was just curious if it sounds like you'd be fine going direct in without shares, but shares is the best.
Yeah, so I didn't get to that part. Would I go for equity? Yes, I would go for it. Do I need it? Not in all cases. I always go for it, right? You can always negotiate down, you can negotiate up. So yeah, I might start looking for equity or shares, but if it's not possible, or I see it's going to be a deal breaker and I still see a win on a rev share deal, I'm not just going to drop it because I can't get the equity. That's what I mean.
Okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. I just didn't get to that part yet, but totally. No, I love the way you're thinking about it and the way you're asking. And that's just Alex. I got to say, that's just a great example of somebody that I came into this. And again, it certainly helps if you have an existing agency and ecosystem, which is why I asked you. Are you getting like cold messaging or, warm network? And like you said, this is all your network, existing clients, people that already know you, referrals, yada, 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 which is what all of us should hit when we first come in. Even people without a established agency, and there's a variation of people on the call. I don't know each of our networks or followings or whatever, but there's always somewhat of a warm audience that people just don't even think about. And a lot of us overlook. I would say everybody individually, think about that yourself and have actually hit my warm audience, business owners, colleagues, people that might refer me. Because if you have a good product that can really deliver results for somebody, nobody's going to be shy about getting it out there or wanting to talk about it, right? And Alex, it's just a really good example how 1 week or 10 days into a program, you already have your assets revamped, your strategy built out, you're building out operations, you have so many sales conversations either pending, happening, about to close. Just a great example of what can happen. So I'm excited to see how it goes, and great questions you asked.
Little trick for everybody. I posted, not planning on this being a blow up like it was, but just on Facebook and LinkedIn saying like, hey, I'm hiring high ticket closers. And listed a little bit about, what this is, intent data and identity resolution. And that actually generated more people that were interested in it than it did high ticket closers. So FYI,
Interesting.
if you want to generate some interest, post a job listing.
That's pretty interesting. I would try it. I would certainly try. I'm an organic guy. I've tried all kinds of organic outreach, and that's what I do a lot of times. Like, hey, just got access to this great new technology. We have a licensing fee. I can try this for some of the small business owners in my network. You have high wasted ad costs. I can show you a quick way to drop your cost per lead and acquisition almost overnight. Who's interested, right? I mean, you guys can just be out there doing little stuff like that on LinkedIn and Facebook. And even if it attracts 5 people, that's 5 more people than you were talking to without that post, right? So they don't even have to blow up. Sometimes it's just a handful, but it's great when you do a post like Alex said with one objective, and then the data shows you, oh shit, this is what actually piqued people's interest, and they're commenting more on the deliverables than the actual job opportunity, which is cool. That just goes to show you how much this is blowing up, and when people see this, they're like, "What are you talking about? How do I get access to that? What do you, right?" And they start asking buying questions, that we can then take them through our sales process and educate and make sure that they're qualified, and then ultimately close a deal if they're a good fit and we can help them. Cool, good stuff, Alex. So William in the chat. So I'm gonna address two things you have in there really quick. So William couldn't unmute or speak when I called on him, but he told me he's currently preparing to launch cold email campaign for myself to pick up some clients. So William, obviously that all comes down to the messaging. I would love if you get a chance, if we're connected or just DM me in school, at least send me your copy and what you're using, and I'd be happy to give you some feedback and critique. Because when we're running cold email campaigns to pick up clients for ourselves specifically, not to say it's not relevant with all messaging, but I think it's much more relevant when you're doing this for yourself on a small little campaign, without a big, established network or following per se. So happy if you want, shoot me your copy in school and I'll give you some feedback on what you're sending out for messaging. And then the other thing you asked for was to see Alex's landing page. So I just brought up on my screen here, or I'm sorry, Alex's website. I brought up on my screen here, happy to run through it. And Alex, feel free to drop in the chat if you want to share it with everybody. But William had asked, so I figured I brought it up because as I was talking to Alex a minute ago, I know a couple people in here just hopped on late. I was saying, hey, great job revamping your website and what you shared with me earlier this week or last week, whenever we spoke out last week at this point. But this is a good little overview. So I believe, and Alex, you can correct me afterwards if I'm wrong, I believe before maybe 2 weeks ago, your website was kind of all geared around SEO and that type of agency. So as far as I can tell, he kind of revamped it to be more about, leads, audience, pixel, finding buyers already looking for you. Our data tracks millions daily to deliver closed deals. Click here to learn how. Like just right off the bat, very simple. I like the aesthetics and the color here as well. And I think it kind of ties in with how you're trying to brand here, Alex. But just guys, I'm not going to read everything you guys asked to look, so I'm going to scroll through it relatively slow. You guys can, go back and look at it in your own time, or go back and watch a recording and slow this down, whatever. But that's just a quick little overview of what you got the website. Got all the numbers dialed in, the 280 million users, the 1.9 trillion behaviors, and the 60 billion URLs tracked daily. And data engineers and data scientists operate our super graph to deliver the best data and leads to you, is what he's saying with that, right? So really good job on this. I thought it was very solid, Alex. And yeah, I just wanted to share it. So William and a couple other people asked in the chat there.
Appreciate it, Ray.
Yeah, no problem. So cool. I've had long-term customer volunteer to do referral sale. What used to have experience with that, setting up those agreements. So Rob, I actually just did one of these pretty recently, and I do quite a few different. I mean, this is what I might call a mutually beneficial partnership. You can call referrals, affiliates, whatever, right? They're all somewhat similar and tied in. But so volunteer to do referrals here. Can you unmute? Oh, you are unmuted. So when you say volunteer to do referral sales, is he actually selling and closing deals, or is he just sending prospects over to you?
Yeah, he was like, I mean, I don't know if we haven't talked about the particulars. He just volunteered it after I told him about it. He's a long time. We've been working together for years under my agency. And so I told him about it yesterday, and he was like, well, I have a huge network, and I'd love to send you some customers because I have lots of people that would be interested in this.
So really quickly, do you know what that guy does specifically? Like that he has people that are your ideal client? Does he already run some type of, digital business or something?
No, we're in his water sports business, and that's what we've been working with for years now. But he does real estate, and his wife does custom built homes.
Okay, cool. So a lot of close business connections and people that can, business owners, people that can utilize those services.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that could be. So let me just show you an example. I just brought up on my screen since you asked. Just give me 1 second here. I'll show you an example of a recent one I just did with somebody. Hopefully I pulled his last name out. I think I just put it in there. I try not to put people's first and last names on the screen when I share it with other people, just because I always like to ask first. But anyway, this is a quick little referral partnership that I just formed with a guy by the name of Donald. So in this case, a little backstory if you guys want to know. Donald came through one of my other companies, my trainings and programs a couple of years back. He just messaged me out of the blue maybe a month or two ago. Hey Ray, went through your trainings in PDocs back in 2022, implemented that to my real estate business at the time, and it was phenomenal. My stuff blew up. The company grew. I ended up selling it a couple of years later. Long story short, I have this new opportunity going where a lot of my clients are your guys' ideal buyers. Now, it's like, I don't really want to be a data agency. I don't really want to have access to the platform and do all that. I really just want to send you guys over qualified deals that I know are ready to jump on your platform, and you kick me back a percentage. I was like, cool. If you're going to do that, you're going to go through some of the pre-selling stuff that I would want you to do before somebody booked in with our team. So what I did at first, Rob, is I put together a list of resources. I don't expect all of you guys to have all these things. It could be 2 or 3 or 4 things. It doesn't need to be all this. But I gave him as much information as I could give so he can educate and share with prospects depending on where they're at. And he also told me he was going to run ad campaigns and messaging campaigns. So I shared with him examples of the ads and the messaging my company is using to have success to get data. So not only is he talking to his warm network, he's actually going to create some campaigns and get it out there in addition to that because of the percentage. So I'll get to that in a minute, but I gave him access to my company blog. So, he can go show that to any prospect, examples of my messaging, the pre-call resource that's in our current process. If somebody books and clicks through our ads, this is the VSL they get sent. I want him to send that to prospects. I gave him, a document overview of what DaaS is and the breakdown and the primary deliverables. Gave him some of our best resources and lead magnets to deliver value, build up trust, authority, right? Everything that it does. Gave him, actually, this isn't even, I should change this, but it doesn't really matter. I built him his own custom link. So at first I had to give him the main link while I was building him one, but I give my partners or people that are going to book people into me their own affiliate link so everything can be tracked back to them. And basically I gave him access so he understands our pricing. I'm very specific. This isn't to be shared with clients, as I told him, and it's listed in there, but just so internal use only. I always like to be transparent and let him know the exact pricing that we're charging. I gave him some examples of my sales calls, just like I do to you guys, so he could listen and understand the lingo and what works. And then I gave him access to the pitch deck. He probably won't use this. This is more for a sales call, but I just wanted him to have all the resources possible. Basically, the agreement was very, very simple in this case, and I'll show you guys exactly what we did. We, Audience Lab, agree to pay Donald 15% commission of the cash collected from any closed deals purchased by leads prospect you send over to our sales team. In addition, we will also pay you 10% of the recurring revenue generated. So that's a very simple understanding, or, those percentages may vary in different industries, different arrangements, volumes, right? But in this particular case, this is what we worked out. So give him as many resources as he can to understand the platform, the product, as well as educate the prospect, give him the proper call to actions and booking links necessary, and then give him a commission that's worthwhile on both sides, but still profitable on our end. So that's a quick overview. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Are you
Cool.
willing to
I mean, you
share
can
that
set those up a
doc,
number
Ray?
of ways, but I kind of do those all custom.
Are you willing to share that doc, Ray?
Yeah, no problem. I can share because I got nobody's first and last name on it. Yeah, give me 1 sec. Let me go grab it and drop it right here in the chat.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm very transparent. There's not much I don't share or hide unless there's an NDA, unless there's some kind of legal ramifications behind it. But
Do you
I'm
get-
happy to
do
share
you-
everything I got.
Do you provide price listing too, or no?
I did give him price listing, so he understands, but I tell him for internal use only, and I don't want anybody, if he's not going to actually be doing the sales and send it over to my team, I don't want him to discuss pricing with prospects, really.
Okay.
He shouldn't,
Yeah.
right? That's why I ask. I have certain partnerships where they want to take on the sales. They just want to, hey, I want all your resources. We're going to sell this stuff for you, right? I set up those arrangements a little different because with this percentage, I also have to think, Rob, as a business owner, he's sending them back to my team. So I still have to pay sales commissions to this as well. As opposed to somebody selling outside, I might give them a higher percentage because I'm not also paying my guys sales commission. So there's a lot of different moving parts that lead to the percentages I come up with. But that's kind of my thought process behind it all.
Quick question. Sorry to put in.
No, go ahead.
Everybody that's selling that I'm white labeling, essentially, right? That's white labeling me, I guess. They're all just tacking on top of my fee. It's not coming out of my percentage, or there's no percentage coming out of it at all.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, there shouldn't be. This is a totally different thing I'm talking about than just selling the data or doing. This is like having somebody, again, we're talking about two different things. You're 100% right. Nobody should be getting a percentage of yours. Cool.
I can't.
Great. So yeah, there's that document, guys. I just dropped that in the chat. But again, you can do those in a number of different ways. And I have a whole kind of tutorial or module on what I call mutually beneficial partnerships. That's what I was just talking about. I formed some large, big ones. I formed some smaller, standard ones with individuals, but I pre-vet these people in a different manner and I set them up in different ways. But the two main ways I look for those is, number one, who already has a Rolodex, a book of business of my ideal clients, but can't provide what I can provide right now. So I'll partner with that guy. And again, let's pick any agency in the world, right? Let's just say, I know all of y'all, everybody on this call, you might offer something other than data, right? You might also do ads or SDR or whatever, but let's just say for data, for this sake, Audience Lab, we're just offering DaaS, and we speak to a content creation agency, a copy creation agency, email marketing, ad agency, doesn't really matter. Now, if he is working with my ideal client, let's just say in this case, I'm looking for e-com brands doing over 50K a month. Well, I find a email marketing agency already working with these 10 or 20 agencies. I go to him and say, hey, man, you're working with all these e-com brands that are running ads, you're running the email marketing. Do you know if you injected data into their email campaigns as well as their advertising campaigns, we're going to increase sales, increase book calls, and drop costs for lead and acquisition? So what I can show you, Bob, is how you can go take this to all of your clients. You be the hero. I'll stay in the back and nobody has to even know about me. Go show this service. I'll tell you how to price it. And when you close deals, we'll split the profit 50-50. So that's another one you can look at, right? But again, I personally, in many cases, would rather just close deals and keep the profit myself. But also, if I'm looking to scale and I'm in a big DaaS plan where I have access to 30 or 60 or some people are in our unlimited plan and you have, almost endless amounts or more lists than you ever think you're going to use. Hell, I want to partner with people that can go sell them. I don't care if I'm getting, 50% of the margin. If I don't do any of the sales, there's really no fulfillment to pull a list and go give it to them in this case. So I look at MVPs, that's one way. The more elaborate or more extensive and some of the bigger ones I've built over the years is I find an already established brand that is serving the exact same market as me. So for instance, Audience Lab's kind of ideal client. Now, we all work with people maybe outside of our ideal client, but ideally we're looking for agencies somewhere between 25 and 50K per month, looking to scale with data, tech, AI, etc. Right. So I find other companies also advertising to that same market, but they're offering something totally different. So I'm not talking competitors or other people in the same market or same industry, but people that are just serving the same audience. And it's best when whatever they're offering, their product, their service, combined with yours, would deliver the end user a better result. So one of our bigger MVPs, and some of you guys have been around a while or saw, some of my longer sessions, you might have heard me talk about this. One of our bigger MVPs was with Air.ai, right? They have that voice call software. Some of you guys are familiar with that brand. Some of you guys aren't. I'm not here to speak about the brand at all, but basically Air.ai was a company with AI call software that was targeting agency owners doing somewhere between 25 and 50K, looking to scale with data and tech and AI. Now they provide this voice bot, call software that can outbound call prospects endlessly with AI, and you don't have to pay a setter, right? They're all not going to make 80 dials a day. So there's all kinds of benefits. But when we spoke to the business owners and their sales team, we'd say, hey, what's the number one objection you got on why people don't close? And I should say, what's the number one reason like a customer signs on and then doesn't stay on your platform long and quits? And the sales manager was like, well, Ray, the number one objection we get when we get to the end of the call is like, this voice AI software is great. I can see how to help my business, but there's no way I have enough leads to deploy it to justify the cost of 5K a month or whatever that service was, right? So we were like, hey, what if you could say this to the client when they gave you that objection? Well, Bob, what if I can give you 1,000 free B2B leads right when you start? That way you'll have 1,000 people you can deploy this call software to. Number one, that helped them overcome that objection and close more deals. Number two, every time somebody threatened to leave the platform, I don't have enough leads to deploy it to. Hey, what if we give you 1,000 free leads? So what they did in this partnership is now we have this voice software. Now we have a lead list to deploy it to. So they ended up getting better results. How did Audience Lab benefit? Once they ran out of that 1,000 free leads and they wanted to get more lists or more leads, they clicked the button, which took them right into our upsell page, and they would buy data from us. So this whole other company, Air.ai, was spending about $250,000 a month on ads, driving people into their ecosystem. Only the agencies that were ideal clients and that bought from them, they sent into our pipeline, either right when they signed up or when they were about to quit, whatever, however it was in their internal system. And then that got them right into our platform. So that was another example where like our product and their product gave the end user a better result. Everybody wins. So even if I like totally cut off my ad spend for a few months, I have another company out there spending $250,000 a month only driving qualified buyers into my sales team's pipeline or into my purchase page. This one was much easier. It just went right to a purchase page. I didn't even have to send them to sales reps in many cases. But that's just another example. Now, those ones are a little more, complicated in a sense, and you gotta show some value. The other big kicker is that company also became one of our biggest case studies. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Air.ai case study. But when we first met with those guys, again, they were spending about $250,000 a month. They were doing about $3 million in revenue. First month they injected Audience Lab data, same $250,000, they did 11 million in revenue. So the data worked for them great. They were one of our biggest, one of our biggest case studies. And once they saw how well it worked, they were more than happy to go offer it and send their clients over to us. I must say on that relationship, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't have been as happy to send people to them because I heard a lot of bad things about product delivery, customer service, just a lot of things. So even if you're not always 100% in alignment, or I don't necessarily stand behind that company, I'm happy for them to spend money and drive clients into my ecosystem if I can deliver some value. So again, so that's something I think a lot of people overlook, but we can just go talk to other companies where, hey, if you bolt on my service or you send me clients and they get onto my platform, they're going to get better results. Hence, you're going to close more deals. You're going to keep people on your platform longer. You're going to make a lot more revenue. You don't have to offer them anything more than that. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to a private client about this same partnership earlier today, and he's like, well, Ray, you didn't have to give them a percentage? I'm like, why would I give them a percentage? I just up their cash collected and their retention rate in their business. Like, no, and they use our data and got 3x on their, on a 3x plus return on what they were doing prior to that. So those are just a couple examples of how I look into partnerships, just at a kind of very what's the word I'm looking for? binary method, right? One or two. Hey, one is more simple. It's look for somebody that has 10 or 20 of my clients and can go pitch my stuff to them. We split the profit. The other one is a little more legwork and a little more relationship with the company building up. But that can turn into a very, very lucrative type of agreement. So, and then I always, the longer you've been in this space, the more network you have, you also find people in your network that are going to be very, very helpful in these areas. So like that guy, Donald, a past client, reaches out to me, and this in his real estate business, it wasn't a great fit and he wouldn't have had a lot of buyers. With what he does now, like his client base is our exact ideal client. But he's like, I don't want to put in the effort or the time to start an agency. I just want to send you deals. And I already had a good relationship. I talked to some of you guys last week, and I had to end the session last week a little early because I was going into a larger MVP call. That's with us collaborating with another data provider, which is very rare for us to collaborate with somebody else that's kind of in the exact same space, but we do serve different markets and we have different levels of data feeds. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about that partnership much more in depth until it's totally brought in and the announcement is made. But that was a really good one because they sell a much more expensive feed of data than Audience Lab per se. So a lot of their clients, they charge at minimum $1,000 per list, right? You guys see, depending on the plan you're at, let's just say incubator, you pay $500 a month, you get 4 lists. So what's that? $125 per list. These guys always charge at minimum $1,000 per list. So right there, you can just see the big discrepancy. So they wanted to find a solid data provider that they can sell data to at a smaller price point that was trustworthy. But with their data feed, they can't offer the same things we can do. They can't offer it at that price. They only can give hash data, so only people running it in ads, where we can give it to people running it also email, SMS, cold calling, all those other outreach approaches. So there was a lot of synergy there. And again, I'll get into that one some more and break that one down, that whole partnership, once we have it fully announced, guys, and everything's out, and show you how that one. But yeah, those are a couple ways. Alex, I'm sorry, you've had your hand raised for a few minutes. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just hoping that you might have a list of ideal partners, because I originally tried this with SEO agencies, and the big problem with SEO agencies is that they're afraid that the data is going to basically outshine the organic, which it does initially, right? And so I've had a lot better relationship with like PPC agencies than SEO agencies, and I had to learn that the hard way. So I was curious, do you already have a list of ideal partnerships that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, I don't know. I never put together a list per se, but in my experience, you're right. There is going to be certain obstacles or certain hesitancy from certain industries. You're right. I think the best one to partner with is obviously anybody doing, PPC paid ad campaign, stuff like that, because the data mixed in with ads is going to see immediate results and isn't going to change the perception of the delivery of their initial service, right? It'll just like they're doing better ad service once they inject the data. Whereas what you're saying with SEO is it almost, like you said, outshines them and makes it seem like, but again, even with that, Alex, that then goes back to the positioning, because even if it outshines the SEO, they're still delivering better results for the clients, and the SEO is doing it. They have different objectives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's just a failure on their part. But that was something that I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to turn into a fucking therapist for these agency owners to show them how to fucking.
No, yeah, and that's
You know what I mean?
you do have to worry about. What I would say to that is that's when you have to focus more on the, established or experienced level of the agency. If you're working with somebody that's been in the space for a while that knows their shit, you're not going to have to babysit. But if you're working with somebody that's launched their first agency and just hit their first 20K a month, like that guy's probably going to be struggling with a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So the best way to rectify that is just work with more established brands and people that you don't have to babysit, right? I mean, that happens in every business.
Where agencies doing 7 figures, so.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still ran into that, so.
Cool. Let me get back to a couple more questions here in the comments. So Daniel, is it reasonable to charge 20K a month and or 30% for revenue share, whatever is more for a full agency build, cold email call? So Daniel, are you still on the call? Let me just see. I'm not sure if he dropped off. I don't see him anymore on here. Oh, that's funny. Admit. So he must have got bounced off. He's sitting there right in the waiting room. Give me 1 second since I was just getting to his question. Hey, Daniel, I see you just reconnecting, and I was just reading your question, and then I went to call on you, and I saw you were off the screen for a minute. But when you were asking there, so is it reasonable to charge 20K a month minimum and or 30% rev share, whichever is greater, right? For a full agency build. So can you just elaborate? Are you cold email, SMS, call campaign? Just elaborate a little what you mean by full agency build.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so this is actually my first time with a client. It's for a medical company, and we're taking data from you, ZoomInfo, Apollo, and we're also scraping from Python from different lists of medical companies. So we're making a big data list, and then we're pumping in instantly a cold email campaign. We're taking the pixel, reactivating their old peeps, and then taking phone numbers and making a SMS campaign, because I heard Phil say you can text them, but you can't call them via the new TCPA rules. So we're basically doing everything. They're already making $1.5 million a month right now, and they've only built their company via like going to trade shows and organic. They have zero marketing experience whatsoever. They haven't done cold emailing. Like, I'm literally gonna be like their whole marketing team. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
if
what's
that's
fair
the
to
case,
charge.
no, I mean, that's a great answer. I just wanted a little more context. That's what I thought you meant, but I just wanted to be clear. I mean, I think Alex, I pretty much agree with what Alex answered you there, to be honest with you.
I actually lost all the info because I had to leave real quick and come back in. But
Oh, he went on, yeah, he went on to say, hey, man, I wouldn't charge less than 30K. Just did this for a GHL agency. They're also going to do a call center for another 25K in 45 days. But he was saying I
oh
wouldn't charge
wow,
less than 30K. I was thinking 25K. So 25, 30, I mean, whatever. You're kind of splitting hairs there. 5K, maybe it's not splitting hairs, right? Depends on how you look at it. But yeah, I wouldn't charge less than 25 to 30K for what you're offering.
okay. I mean, I'm pretty confident what I'm doing, but the thing is like, being a first one is, can they go to a competitor? Like, I have no clue what a competitor charges. Like, if they were to go to like some really built-in marketing agency, is it 20, 30K a month
Well, let's think
normally?
about that. It's a great question, Daniel. How many competitors have access to Audience Lab data, Apollo data, ZoomInfo data, the other
Yeah,
thing you're
true.
scraping, the cold email, the SMS, the cold. So you just
Nobody.
eliminated 94% of your competition already. So
Yeah, that's
stand
true.
out by your, your genuineness right there. You're offering
Yeah,
something that 96% of the market isn't offering.
that's true. That's
So
true.
sure,
All
say
right.
go find this from another competitor and come back when you find it. And somebody's
Yeah.
going to be like, shit, I can't find all that from one person.
So is the guy he said earlier? I think Alex said 30K for an initial and 25 for an email build out on top of that.
No, he was saying he just did this for a GHL agency. He said they are also going to do a call center for another 25K 45 days down the road after they got
Oh my
results
God.
out of this. So
Wow,
that's a
he's
whole different
cleaning
thing.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Are
Alex has
you?
only been, he was talking earlier, he's only been in the program a week or two.
Is he doing any rev share?
That was the question he asked early in the workshop.
Uh,
He's
yeah,
considering it. He's considering it. He's had up and down experiences. It's something we've discussed throughout today's episode or session.
yeah. I heard a little bit. I think what I'm gonna do is charge like 30K and then and or 30% of rev share, whatever's higher.
Yeah, definitely go for the higher.
I think that sounds fair. Especially for a company making 1.5 mil a month already.
Yeah,
Zero
well, when
marketing.
you're talking that 30% of rev share, overall rev or profits.
Of just what I bring into them.
Yeah, which
Uh,
obviously has
uh,
nothing
uh,
to do with
of
the existing 1.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So
That would make
Daniel, I
sense
would do
then.
both.
You think
you do
so?
both.
Fuck yeah. If they're making 1.5, go for the jugular. You can always downsell into one or the other, but do both.
Do both.
It's ballsy. I love it though.
You got to walk
Yeah,
in with fucking balls of steel, and worst case scenario, you walk out with balls of bronze.
that's
But
true. No, no,
you really do need to be
nobody
more
has.
confident, Daniel, in what you're offering. I mean, seriously, not a lot of people have the ability to offer everything you're offering, which means
That's
not a lot
true.
of people can deliver the results you're going to deliver, which in essence means not a lot of people can charge what you can charge. And that's what it
Th-
comes down to.
that's what that's what I'm scared about. Like, I know we got the data, but now it's like, is the copy, is the cold email campaign working? I'm just banking on the 3%, cold email conversion that's typical, and maybe, still it's better than what they have, which is zero.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, hopefully that helps, but that'll give you a good little
No,
foundation there.
appreciate it. Yep.
Georgia, you just
Thanks.
asked, so how do you know what you bring? Um, in terms of, can you just elaborate? Oh, you know, so I know what she's asking. You were saying just the revenue I bring in. You're asking, how do you know what you bring in? So there's a couple different ways you can do that,
Yeah.
Georgetta. It really depends on the customer you're working with. What we do with some of our partners, especially if we're going to do revenue share or kind of, you know, be their agency for lack of a better phrase and build it all for them. We just have a large GHL with unlimited sub account. So I would just build a sub account for this particular client, and everything that I booked in would show up in this account. Now, another way you could do it, they might have an existing CRM, which most of them do, right? Whatever they're using, GHL, HubSpot, whatever. You set up a separate pipeline or a separate work stage, you know, whatever it is. Each kind of CRM has different nomenclature, but build a separate pipeline that's just like whatever. Let's just say this one, Georgetta's pipeline, and every deal that came through your links, your ads would show up in that separate pipeline. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You know, I've learned over the years with rev share deals and tracking what I'm bringing in. I like to control as much of that as possible now. But at minimum, I'm going to get into their CRM, get full admin access, and have my eyeballs on all the revenue, all the pipeline, and all the leads. So yeah, those are a couple ways you could do it. But you want to do it where there's like the least amount of oversight possible. And as time goes on, I found much better ways to do that where I don't have to be as hands-on. You know, there's a lot of systems and AIs and things that can do a lot of that stuff for us now. But yeah, it's usually one of those two things. Cool. All right, guys, there's less than 5 minutes left. I'm not going to dive into a whole nother session right now. I think I hit all the questions in the chat. Yeah, it looks like it. So guys, that will be good. We'll meet up again next week, and keep me posted on any of your progress. Come back with any questions or anything else you want me to cover next week, and let's keep rocking. Great work from the people we spoke to. Sorry I didn't get to everybody on the call today, but we'll dive into more next week. Have a good day, guys.